evening, everybody. Happy Friday. We finally have made it. Welcome to Northeast Streaming Sports at Night. I'm your host, Sonia from Prim and Proper Sports. Y'all, it's the weekend. I am so excited. We are at the final Friday in February. Now, y'all know I've been partying all month for my birthday. And tonight, I'm going out in celebration style. I have not one, but two amazing guests. We have the recap from last night, Mr. James Martin, Jtrain, the New Orleans Saints fan in the house. What's up, James? How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, Sonia. I hope you're well.
I am well. And from the man cave, we have the one, the only Mike Echo. Mike, what's up, Big Night?
Hey, what's going on? What's going on?
All right, everybody. It's so good to be here and have our weekend officially started. We got a lot of little NFL news, a lot of little NBA news. So it's news just always going, always going. It looks like first thing out the gate, Justin Fields is trying to dial back his whole social media thing where he unfollows the Bears, follows the Falcons, just this whole fiasco. But in true Justin style, he just can't seem to come up with an excuse. What do you guys think?
You want to go? Go.
I'll let you go, Mike. I'll let you go first.
All right, well, here's the deal, man. It's not that he's a young kid. He's just, this thing is tearing him apart. I mean, when you're sitting here and thinking a team's got your back, you've displayed that you can play, even with nothing out there but trash men running around and little just garbage pails standing in front of you to block. I mean, he's done a hell of a job. I mean, granted, it could be better, but again, you don't have an offensive line. What are you going to do? You got to run for your life. You got to do all sorts of stuff, and you got no weapons. Finally, they get him DJ Moore, Cole Kmet. The offensive line comes together a little bit. I mean, a very little bit. And some defense, and he's thinking, okay, cool, we're going to go in the next year. We got a high pick. We got 2 high picks. Maybe we're going to do something. Help me out. And now he's in the middle of this. Am I going to Pittsburgh? Am I going to Atlanta? Are they keeping me? Are they not keeping me? Who's going to be the quarterback? This dude's mind is probably torn 1,000 different ways, and what he needs to do is shut it all down. He needs to do what LeBron does. 0 dark 30 like he does in the playoffs. Shut everything down and just wait for the news to drop and be like, there it is. That's the end of it.
What are your thoughts, Jtrain?
It's funny what you're saying, Mike, about him shutting down like LeBron. I think in LeBron's situation, he has the room to shut it down because no one's trying to trade LeBron. He's trying to get traded. I mean, he's about to get traded, and him stating that he wishes to stay with Chicago, but he'll accept the business because he understands the business. I mean, I guess he wants to stay, but I mean, what else can he do? I mean, they have his future in their hands, and ultimately, he's likely going to be traded. I mean, the kid that's coming out, we're talking about Caleb Williams. He's number 1 for a reason. And I heard the offensive coordinator Shane Waldron talking about, well, we can work with anybody. That's just smoke screens. He's just blowing smoke. They're looking forward to working with an up-and-coming rookie quarterback that's the number 1 pick. And they have a wealth of riches, including the first and the 9th overall pick. And how can you do bad with that? Man, they're going to trade him. And then they're going to obtain more assets for the trade. Man, the future looks bright for the Bears. And unfortunately, it may not look as bright for Justin Fields.
Yeah, it's funny because you cannot even talk about the draft without talking about the detriment of the Panthers who gifted them. And as I always say on the show, if anybody's been watching these, the Panthers gave so many picks, not just the first one to the Bears. They gave them another pick in the second round as well. And then even in 2025, they have another pick for them as well. And they got DJ Moore. And I always say whoever did their homework for the Bears did their homework because they were like, yeah, go ahead and give Carolina that number 1 pick. Next year's quarterback draft will be saturated, as well as they're not going to perform well. We're just basically lending them this number 1 draft. We're going to get it back and then some. So kudos to Chicago for knowing how to invest and not pay it forward. Mike, I see you looking.
I'm not keen on Caleb Williams at all. I think he's going to bust out in a sense. I don't think he's going to be good. I think this is going to be one of those situations where it's not talent that's going to hold him back. It's his mental capability that's going to hold him back. I mean, you already saw how after he loses a game, he runs straight to his mom and cries, or he's got to be coddled by his dog, which nothing's wrong with that. But when you're an NFL player, that mentality, you're going to be torn to shreds by them other dudes on there. And
Not
I
cuddled
think
by
the
a
Bears, if
dog.
they draft him, I think they regress. I don't think they go forward because I get they have another top 10 pick. So whether they go with a wide receiver or an offensive lineman, they still need more pieces. That team will not still be anything. So if they trade that pick, go back 2 spots. Let somebody else grab Williams. Take Marvin Harrison. Add to DJ Moore. Then draft that offensive tackle at 9. So when you move back, you're getting another first rounder next year. The Bears aren't going to be outside the top 15, and either is that other team. So you're going to have maybe two more top 10 picks. I'm doing that. I'm trading that away and giving it one more year with Fields because the key to me was they kept Eberflus. Usually, if you fire a coach and bring a new coach in, he wants his own quarterback. They didn't do that. So that's what makes me think they're going to let Fields ride again. Or, I mean, I would let Fields ride again after this year, get rid of both of them, and then you got 2 first-round picks next year. All right, do what you want to do with them.
It's funny you mention that because we talk about off-season priorities throughout the league. And the Bears, their number one priority is re-signing their players. So is Green Bay. So is the Vikings and the Lions. And in fact, that's the entire NFC North for all intents and purposes. Those who are focusing on management and coaching involve the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Chargers, the Browns, Bengals, the Raiders, the Broncos, and even the Steelers, as well as New York, Eagles, Washington, and the Cowboys. Now, those teams that, even though we talk about Chicago having the number 1 pick, those teams that focus on draft picks are the Jets, the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Patriots. Those seem to be the one in free agency that they're going to be, in the offseason, they're going to be prioritizing. And those teams that are looking at additional draft picks are going to be the Texans, the Jaguars, the Colts, and the Titans. And the free agency focus is going to be the 49ers, the Cardinals, the Rams, and the Seattle Seahawks. But the trades that basically people that already gave up their stuff or will be giving up significant trades to get where they need to be will be Tampa Bay. Go figure, the Saints, the Falcons, and the Panthers. So the entire NFC South, according to Sports Illustrated, is going to be focused on trades in the offseason. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, let's start with the Saints. There's a possibility that they're potentially maybe trading Marshawn Lattimore just to obtain either assets, because there's been some rumblings that there's a disconnect between the management, coaching staff, and Marshawn Lattimore himself. And why, I have no idea. Maybe it's just a matter of a change of the regime. I mean, Sean Payton's gone, Dennis Allen's in. There's no confidence of ineptitude at the coaching level, and but Marshawn at the same time has had some injury history the latter part of his career, and he may be a cap casualty. He's getting paid he's $100 million man, so he may end up getting canceled and traded. And they see that they have 2 younger guys. We got Isaac Yedem and what's the other guy's name? There's 2 other cornerbacks there that they drafted. They spent their drafts, the last couple of drafts, and drafting Alontae Taylor and the other gentleman named out of Stanford. Anyway, they all had really good years, and so he may be expendable. The Falcons, I mean, I don't see them trade anybody. They're trying to hold on to their players right now, and they're trying to obtain more assets. I think going to Tampa Bay, we're talking about Mike Evans. It's a possibility that he may not be there. I don't understand why. I mean, that's your best receiver. That's your best offensive player. I don't think there's nobody else that's there that's better than him.
Right.
I wouldn't get rid of him. Say it again.
I said, right. I'm agreeing.
Right. Yes. And going to Carolina, I don't know, who do you trade? I mean,
The
you
whole O-line.
you
might
need
get a Gatorade for it.
a garage sale. Yes, that's what they need right now. But they need help. They need help. So I don't know if they can trade that, if they have any tradable assets. That's, I mean, in regards to that the NFC South.
Yeah, and I know, Mike, we mentioned your Browns being focused on a little bit different there. What are your thoughts on what does Cleveland need to do in the offseason to kind of prioritize what they need for the team?
Well, I think they made some moves already when it came to management. You know, they brought in a new OC, Ken Dorsey. You know, he was out of Buffalo. You know, squeezed everything he could out of Josh Allen. Then they used him as the scapegoat and fired him. So now we're bringing him in and hoping he has some sway with Deshaun Watson or can do something with the offense. And the other part was business. Now, what happens here in 2024 is everybody's going crazy about money. Well, the cap's going up 30 million that's coming up here. 30 million from last year. So a lot of people scrambling right now, or all the pre-talk before this came out, they're all scared. Like, people were talking about, oh, we're going to cut Nick Chubb. The first person that said that, I looked him in the face and said, are we putting on our idiot caps right now? You acting real stupid right now, because there is no way we're cutting Nick Chubb over $11 million. It's just not happening. $11 million, you're going to cut probably one of the best running backs in the league. Granted, the injury was crazy, but he did this at Georgia. Came out and was a monster after that. A monster. We're going to have to restructure some deals, move some money around. But again, that $30 million extra is going to start softening what Deshaun Watson's getting owed. Like, it's $63 million for the next 3 years, every year. But that $30 million goes up. Like, next year it'll go up again. It'll go up again after that. So money-wise, I think everything will be okay with the Browns. I think people need to start simmering down and relaxing a little bit, you know. Come join us on Relax Wednesday and start chilling, because that situation's stupid saying they're going to cut, Chubb. But, I want to hit on this whole Tampa Bay thing. Mike Evans, 1,000 yards every year since he's been in this league 10 years. Dude's a monster, right? If Tampa Bay's on this thing where they don't want to get rid of him, why don't they get rid of Chris Godwin? Trade him.
Right.
He'll bring you in something. The dude is good. He's not Mike Evans good, but the dude is good. He's had flashes where he can be a number one. Put him on a team like the Panthers. Give a weapon to Bryce Young instead of overpaying T. Higgins. Trade a Godwin over there. Do something. And, I mean, Brian Burns is Carolina's only asset I could see them trading, which that could be something that goes and moves. Who knows? And, yeah, Atlanta, they have to just find a quarterback. I mean,
it's just one of those things.
Kirk Cousins or something. I mean, if they do something, even someone like that.
For Carolina?
No. For Atlanta, Carolina, I don't.
That's what I was about to say.
I don't like Bryce Young a lot because he's small. I don't like any Alabama quarterbacks. I mean, you got to think of Tua is one that came out and showed that he could be that somewhat. But Jalen Hurts went to Oklahoma. He was around everywhere, so I can't call him an Alabama quarterback. I'm not keen on Bryce. I think he needs some time. I think he needs like Jay Love. Jay Love sat there for 3 years and watched and learned and understood the speed of the game. So,
well, I feel like this. So we're having a little bit of audio here. Hold on one second. There he is. Okay. So I feel like, all right, there's Jtrain. I feel like basically, I don't know how they put the entire South in one specific, they need a trade. And I think, and Jtrain, you could kind of confirm this. Like you said, everybody in our division doesn't need a trade. Maybe it's the fact that they're using a trade or trading up for something else. What are your thoughts on that?
there's always that possibility when you're trying to obtain assets. I mean, or obtain someone maybe like there's no team in the NFC South except for the Falcons that's looking for a quarterback. So
Right.
that's the team that may look to trade. Maybe they're looking to trade so they can move up in the draft. But the Saints, no quarterback, no, and their history shows that they never move down. They do move up, but at 14, if you're looking at what the needs of the Saints are, I don't see them moving up. I think they're just a wealth of players from 1 to 14 that'll drop. Somebody's going to drop, so the best available is going to come. So why would you not just stand pat? In regards to the Panthers, they just don't have the assets to trade or move up.
Yep.
It's just unfortunate. It's just not there.
Mhm.
So and I mean, I guess the only team that would move or trade, like Mike said, we're talking about Tampa Bay. I mean, maybe they would move up if they got rid of Godwin or something like that. But I mean, they won NFC South with what they had with Baker Mayfield. So
Yep.
it's just, I mean, I don't know. Maybe if they look at the trajectory of the whole NFC South collectively, then most teams probably wouldn't. I mean, Tampa Bay wouldn't even have to do anything; just stay where they are.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, but then Tampa has lost some major people. You know, they lost a couple of coaches to Carolina. So they're not necessarily in rebuild mode, but like I always say, Tampa only made it because the South was so competitive as far as being
Mhm.
competitive, but on a lower end of competitive. And speaking of competitive, I do want to give a tiny, not a tiny, but a small plug real quick to Jennifer King. She is the Chicago Bears have officially announced the lineup of coaches for this year. And Jennifer King is hired as the first ever female Chicago Bears coach. She will be joining their offensive line. And so congratulations to her. Women are not only refing now, to all my ladies out there that are watching. This is, started by a lady. So I have to give homage where it is due. So congratulations to her. And we'll see where that takes them with the Bears. Now, I do want to kind of tell you guys real quick or kind of pivot back to the Bears for 1 minute. We talked about Justin Fields. We talked about them having all these trades. The Bears have been known over the years to be a defensive team.
Mhm.
It seems like they would maybe use that second draft to possibly get a defensive person. What are your thoughts on that?
But the second pick they got in the first round.
Yeah, we gave them another pick in the second round.
Oh, you talking about the nuts? Yeah. Once the second round hits, because they'll have two. Then I'm saying they're gonna go defense, maybe with both, but at least one of them, because they got to make sure they keep Jalen Johnson from leaving before they do anything. They got to sign that man, franchise tag him, whatever they're going to do. That was their star player. So keep him and then add to it. But maybe they use both those second round picks because I'm pretty sure they're pretty high because of where they're at. And they move back up into the first and grab one good star, get a nice solid piece, a nice corner,
Mm-hmm.
because they need to
Yeah,
start solidifying up that secondary. Because again, if their defense can't stop nobody, their offense is gonna be trying to throw the ball like crazy. It's just, I don't know. If I'm them, I'm using all the picks on offensive linemen, but they are a defensive team.
Exactly.
yeah. And that seems like that's gonna be the trajectory that everything goes. And speaking of off season talk and what needs to be done. B. John Robinson has come out and said he wants 2,000 rushing yards next season.
Well, here's the deal with that. They fired the coach that didn't know how to give him the ball, so I think he can obtain that. The boy's a magnificent specimen when it comes to this run game. This dude
Yeah.
can do it all. They just somehow forgot. They're like, hold on, who's this guy? All right, we'll put him in one play. Man, 20 yards, we'll take him right back out. Like Smith didn't know what he was doing over there. I was pissed off, not only as a fantasy owner of the guy, I was more mad as a fan of the game. Like, dude, you have something special right there, and you're not using them at all. Like this, it blew my mind away. But he could definitely attain 2,000. I mean, he'd probably get 1,000 receiving too.
Yeah, I think that's the same. What do you think, Jtrain?
That's where I was going to go. I was going to say, Mike kind of stole my thunder in regards to the 1,000 versus, plus 1,000. There's been history has shown that Marshall Falk, Roger Craig, even further back than him, these guys they've been in that club. And of course, Christian McCaffrey all belong to that 1,000 yard rushing and 1,000 yard receiving. It's not, I wouldn't doubt that this guy can obtain that as well. He's the type, he fits the mold of a Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara type of running back. So, you have a weapon in this guy, and you just need to know how to utilize him. But I just think that no one trusted Desmond Ridder and the scheme of Arthur Smith to so they can put all the guys in the box and stop this guy. Because you knew what was about to happen, because you just didn't trust the quarterback to throw the ball. But that's where they're going to look for a quarterback, get a quarterback. And I think 2,000 can be obtainable if rushing. Everything has to go the right way. And they're falling in the right direction by hiring Zach Robinson as their OC. So, coming out of the Sean McVay tree. So, yeah, I think he has an opportunity to do it. It's just going to be that's it. Everything has to fall into place for that to happen. 2,000 is a lot to get.
I'm going to play a comparison him, and the guy in the comments said exactly what I was about to say. LT, LaDainian Tomlinson, is literally what Bijan is. Bijan's a little taller, but he could be exactly that. He has the speed, the footwork, the finesse. The dude has it, and it's crazy.
Thank you, Brian. Everyone coming on, hello, good evening. Download the Roku app and look for Northeast Streaming Sports. I'm on with the Man Cave, Mike Echo, as well as Jtrain, James Martin, Saints fan and Browns fan, respectively. And you know who I am. I'm your host, Tanya Pearson from Prim and Proper Sports. This is Northeast Streaming Sports at night. Shout out to Linda and Mac over there. Good producers, great producers, always got us on the road here. Brian Culp said, smash the like button, everyone. Thank you so much, Brian, and hello. And we got a comment here from Kevin Davis. Oh, he was on last night, guys. He said Bijan will get 2,000 yards. Go figure. You can tell who he's pulling for. Who he's a fan of, will get 2,000 yards next year. He getting 300 in the 2 games against the Saints. All right, we see a little dig there, Jtrain. I'm gonna let you target that because it looks like it's a little haterade coming in, little rivalry, little Falcons versus Saints. And so he's there. You want to address that comment? Hi, Kevin. You have nothing to say to him. See? When you hear nothing, you say nothing.
Let's roll to the next comment.
All righty. Thanks, Kevin, for coming on. Kevin is talking about LaDainian Tomlinson. It's funny when y'all said LT. I'm thinking Lawrence Taylor. I'm going way back. All right. So he's saying LaDainian Thomas is his
comparison, his comp. Yeah.
Comparison. Okay. All right. But anyway, thank you so much, Kevin, for tuning in and everybody. So switching gears just a little bit here. I do want to ask you, Mike, what are the Browns going to do with Flacco?
See, now this is the question. It keeps going around. Everybody's asking, are they going to extend him? Are they going to do this, that? Look, if the Browns, if the head coach, if Stefanski, if Haslam, if Andrew Berry, they 100% believe in Deshaun and have Deshaun's back, they better not extend Flacco. Do not extend that man. Because I do not need my quarterback out there, and every single time he does something little, maybe throws an interception or gets sacked or they lose a game, and it might not even be his fault. The fans, the outcry will be, put Flacco in, put Flacco in. I don't want that. I don't need Watson's head to be screwed up from get-go. Let this man play his game. Let DTR back him up. That's it. Let that be done. tell Flacco, hey, you be ready. If Watson goes down and there's an injury, we bring you right back off the couch. But I'm not putting him there just to say, oh, yeah, I want you looking over his shoulder. Unless Watson comes out himself and says he wants Flacco there, I'm not doing it. I think that would just destroy everything.
Yeah, so Flacco goes home and you guys call him up if you need him.
Yeah, pretty much. And again, unless D-Dub says, hey, nah, I want him here. I want to learn. Then, all right. Otherwise, no. Hell.
Yeah, I don't see him learning at this point from Flacco. I remember reading something somewhere that if Flacco were to stay and Deshaun was playing, that could divide the locker room as well.
Yes.
Like, because some people, the older crew supposedly are more loyal to Flacco because they know him, and Deshaun's coming in with all the stuff he came in with. And, that's just been like a sensitive, area for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
Jtrain, what are your thoughts on it? Even though, we can be objective since the Browns are not our team.
Sure. I will have to agree with Mike. I think Deshaun Watson is their guy. First of all, you've invested ton of money in that guy. There's no way that Flacco, hey, as much as he's done this year to put them in the playoffs, Flacco was a Band-Aid. That's it. That's all you have with him. He was just a Band-Aid. Because it showed once he met with Houston, he's like, okay, age and everything else just showed up and say, okay, this guy, he's got his ceiling. This is it. That's where he's at. And Watson is just, I see Kevin said Watson is bouncing back. I hope Chud can bounce back healthy next year is very key. Yeah.
Chubb.
And yes, if you don't mind, I'd like to elaborate on the Chubb thing.
Go right ahead.
Chubb has been injury prone throughout his whole career with his knees. I'm interested in seeing if he can bounce back because, you had guys like Terrell Davis, the guy in L.A. That come out of Georgia. What's the kid name?
Gurley, Todd Gurley.
Todd Gurley. Man,
he went to the Falcons.
I've torn ACLs myself, man, and let me tell you, it's a crapshoot whether you can bounce back or not. We saw what Adrian Peterson was able to do in 7 months, but he's an anomaly.
Let me
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I would think he's an anomaly, but I think that it's interesting to see if he can bounce back. I'm just, I'm not sure if he can or not at a high optimum level.
Mm-hmm.
You brought up something that I do want to talk about. You talked about the ACL injury. I got to talk about the big elephant of the NFL, Aaron Rodgers. He's almost 40 years old, went down with the same type injury, age plus the experience in the league, plus that type of catastrophic injury. He told everybody he was coming back by December. He came back, but they didn't clear him enough to come all the way back. Does he come back a different Aaron Rodgers next season? Is that one of those injuries? And you personally having suffered that, has to know that type of pain. I have to make a small comparison. In 2017, I had my foot surgically broken the same week that Greg Olsen broke his during the game. Same type injury. All I could think about was there's no way I could be an NFL player and run in the amount of time they expected him to be back. And sure enough, Greg Olsen came back and re-injured that same foot and was done. So in comparison to that, because I'm not a football player by any stretch, maybe flag football growing up as a tomboy, but to be able to perform at the level of a professional athlete, how could that affect Aaron Rodgers coming back? Because we have some people, because people have their opinions that are so gung-ho on Aaron Rodgers. Pat McAfee probably is one of them, that they just believe they have subscribed to the Aaron Rodgers philosophy that whatever he says is going to be the gospel. And so coming from a human perspective, they can shoot you up with cortisone and all these shots all day long. But at the end of the day, will we see the same Aaron Rodgers?
Let me say this. Who was the quarterback for Green Bay this year?
Zach Wilson.
Jay Love was the quarterback for Green
Oh,
Bay.
I'm sorry, Green Bay. I'm thinking about the Jets. Yeah, Jordan Love.
Jordan Love. Yeah. So that means they were willing to let Aaron Rodgers go. Ultimately, age is undefeated. And I don't care how much of a great guy, quarterback he was. I'm a huge fan of Aaron Rodgers, but I'm a fan of LeBron James. But as you can see, time is beat by nobody. And coming back from that type of injury, will he be optimal? I mean, he may be serviceable, but I don't think he'll be optimal, especially with the type of offense that the Jets have. I mean, it's different. I mean, Aaron Rodgers was under a great coach. You can see how Green Bay decimated the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So I just think that he's not going to be the same guy. That's just my honest opinion. I don't think he's going to be the same guy, especially after the injury. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, well, that's Mike.
The fact that it happened literally 5 seconds into that first game, I think he has enough time to do his thing, his recovery. As we saw, ESPN showed him every week. Oh, he's doing this now. Oh, he's throwing this. I mean, he was flat-footing throwing 70 yards at one point before they even medically cleared him to do anything. And that's crazy. He was pushing off his back foot like that. I mean, I don't know, whatever that magic potion was in that box that he was carrying around and that he fumbled that one time on the sideline, you saw it pop out. I don't know what the hell that was, but whatever it was, it's done something for him. And Aaron Rodgers to me it's another Brett Favre situation. Green Bay moved on from Favre. Favre went to Minnesota, had some wonderful, he went to the Jets, but ended up Minnesota, had that wonderful last hurrah where he went to the NFC Championship. Yep. He did everything he could in that game. And I think Aaron Rodgers has that left. I mean, he literally has, 2 more years left on his contract. I think he comes back. They need to get another receiver there, add to that offensive line. But that defense is stout and ready. So in reality, all he has to do is be Kirk Cousins. He doesn't have to be Aaron Rodgers to win. Be Kirk Cousins. He's better accurate than Kirk Cousins. Just be that, not elite, but elite game manager, and I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, the game manager seems to be the popular thing going forward. And we saw how the Jets were hyped up on Hard Knocks. I don't know if y'all watched Hard Knocks. I watched a few of the episodes. I mean, they didn't know Aaron Rodgers was coming at the time, when they selected the team. Once they got there, it was this whole fanfare. I'm still in disbelief that Aaron Rodgers went down on the 4th snap of the first game. That's crazy to me. Hello, everyone coming in. I'm sitting down with the Man Cave's Mike Eckel and James Martin, Jtrain. This is Roku streaming on Northeast Streaming Sports. Good evening, one and all. And looks like Bryant Culp says that Aaron Rodgers is the GOAT. And in fact, I don't know how Bryant is feeling this evening because he's also made another comment. Let me find it. I don't see it anymore, but it was up here.
It's there. The Niners Jets.
He said it's going to be the Jets are going to the Super Bowl. Are you feeling okay, Bryant?
He said later on down there says someone's smoke detector needs to be checked because that's the hottest take you over here. That's one of the hottest takes ever.
And if he's right, just think you're probably going to be a millionaire on that bet alone. He said he's got the Niners and the Jets in the next Super Bowl, Super Bowl 59, which will, by the way, be played in where, Jtrain?
New Orleans.
That's right. That's right. Creole City. Going to be down there. People are going to be gaining 10 pounds because of all the good food. You cannot beat it. All right. So Bryant says someone smoke detector needs to be checked. Okay. Oh, it's not mine. I guess he's saying here's the right. Wow. All right. So Kevin Davis is back. He says, hey, Mike, you think I'll let you address that question.
Oh, he's think about losing Callahan. I think that's huge. I mean, we lost Bill. Brian is the son of Bill, who's coaching for the Titans. Yeah, it's a huge loss. I mean, but I think he's instilled enough in that line that they'll be able to carry over. And I can't remember where we brought. I can't even remember his name. I think he came from the Texans, to be honest. And I think we'll be all right. He's a young guy. I think he knows what he's doing. Again, I think Bill left this offensive line in good shape. The only questionable thing we have is the big dumpster fire of Jed Willis on the left tackle. And, we need to take him out. Like, throw him away, trade him. Someone wants a left tackle, just fill our Gatorade machines for the whole year. We'll give you that dude because that's all he does. He stands there. He doesn't move. We brought a dude from off the streets that played better than him the rest of the year when he went down. I was like, man, who's this Christian Jr. dude? He out here balling. If I'm the Browns, you keep Conklin, move DeJuan Jones to the left tackle, and let him learn that position. And that line is solidified all over again because no one could get past Jones when he's out there. He's one of the highest graded rookies at line, and I'm good with that. Put him at left and let him learn.
So he said he was half right because last year the Niners versus the Jets was his prediction. And Kevin is saying he likes the Falcons winning in New Orleans next year. So I'm going to be honest, that probably not going to happen. Sorry, Kev. And that's gonna be it. Let's see. Hold on. I think that's all for the comments right now. But yeah. So all right. Well, moving along, switching to. We kind of like cross parallel here. We talked about Caleb Williams earlier. Looks like Nick Saban. He dished out of Alabama after all these years. The school of Saban is finally closed. They actually lost a lot of people who were committing, like they were decommitting left and right now that Nick is leaving. And so my question to you guys is, will Alabama be a different Alabama than we've seen? They seem to have kept a few of the players, but it's a very scarce selection. I'll start with you, Jtrain.
Oh, me as a fan of LSU, there's no love lost there. So I don't really care if they fall by the wayside, which I think they will, honestly. You just lost arguably the greatest college or sports coach ever in history. And to lose all those recruits, man, there's no way you can really bounce back from that. Not to be optimal at a top end level that they've been playing at. It's just not going to happen. Because you have teams like Ole Miss, LSU, they're coming. They're already set. They got their coaches, they got their recruits. LSU arguably has the top 2025 recruiting class coming up. They beat out Michigan for the top dual threat quarterback in Michigan. So, and they got the top number one recruit running back, number one recruit receiver. I just don't see Alabama bouncing back, even with the coach that they have right now. It's maybe going to they're going to regress a couple of years. It's going to take a couple of years to even, if this coach is really good this is the guy out of Washington, right? That took over. Yeah. So, so he's really good, but it's just going to be tough though, because those kids that were there were for Nick Saban, not for him. So it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be good right now.
That's so weird. And on top of that, it's almost like they're making an exodus out of UGA as well. Their little nemesis here. You got, after 36 years as head coach of the, it's the UGA tennis, but nonetheless, Manuel Diaz has announced he's going to retire from the program. So, but UGA, the Dogs, has had a couple of lower lying coaches as well that are leaving. And I want to plug one more thing about College Inn before I switch gears to something else. But Mike, what are your thoughts about Sabanism closing down, the School of Saban?
Oh, that thing's crushed and gone now. You got to think, when's the last time Bama was relative to anything besides Bear Bryant back in the day? It took all the way to Saban for that to be anything again. Like, we didn't hear about Crimson Tide and Roll Tide until Saban. And Saban was at Michigan State, brought them some relevance. Was at LSU, brought them up, then left, and again, did what he did at Bama. Now, will it take a long time? Who knows? That coach from Washington is good. He even brought some players from Washington and some recruits from Washington there. So if the system's going to be different, everything's going to be different. And I think that'll change how that works over there. But I think the whole Bama Roll Tide thing is kind of going by the wayside for the next probably 5 years.
Yeah, and you're talking about players like Rome Odunze. They are heating up in the draft, and people just are not talking about Alabama that much as far as the drafts, which is a shock.
Just Kool-Aid. Just Kool-Aid. That's it.
Yeah. And speaking of college, and this is going to be the final thing we say on that before I switch gears one more time. Looks like EA Sports has come up with some type of deal for the CFB players who opt in to be in their games. The college football edition of, Madden, so to speak. The college football 25, they're going to give them $600 and a copy of the game. And those players who are from 134 FBS teams, they can opt to go in as an NIL deal starting today. And then they have some further money that they're going to be giving those people who stay in the game. If you're in there for multiple years, they'll start to receive an annual amount of money, like a salary. And players who transfer to other schools will continue to be compensated as long as they're still on the roster for EA Sports. Now, that's just another catapult. I had to bring that up because we know Nick Saban, one of the reasons why he left Alabama was he was not a fan of the NILs. So when you paramount that over or kind of, marry that with EA Sports now saying, you know what, we can go ahead and give them this deal. And we could be, like I keep telling people, the college league is now the baby NFL for real. You're now having EA Sports come up with a game. We already had it, but to come up with a game that is now NIL deals, just like NFL Madden is. What are your thoughts on that? I'll start with you, Mike.
Listen, they should have been paying these players a long time ago for this college game. When it was out before, they should have been paying them. I mean, because you got to think back then, there was no NIL deals, there was no whatever. They should have been giving them that money way back then, and that's the number it should have been back then. Now, I think that number should be a little higher because when this game hits, the publicity this game has gotten, everybody in the world is going to buy this game. Everybody's going to buy this game because they haven't played it in so long. It's something new. Yep. So this first run with it is going to be astronomical moneymaker. And it should be more than just $600 and here's a copy.
Right. Oh, in a game? 600 in a game? Are you serious?
I mean, granted, the game they're going to love. But like $600, I mean, you could have made it at 1,000 and even rack. Right. I mean, at least a rack. I mean, God, I still think that's undercutting big time. But this game is going to be huge. And to be honest, I think this whole NIL, this whole little NFL, like you said, I think it's going to be, I think this sucks for college football and certain teams in it because other teams can't do what the big schools can. So it makes it worse.
And hi, Red Jet coming on. She's saying hi, chat. And she's saying like and subscribe. Thank you so much, Red Jet. I appreciate you. I appreciate her coming on. She's on one of the YouTube channels. Kevin is saying it's going to be UGA is going to be reloaded. And he says this game is going to make billions. And I believe that it's going to be like a GTA kind of. And they're underpaying these guys. Speaking of underpaying, we're going to switch back to the NFL because this is a hot topic right here. This is probably going to take us the rest of the show. Excuse me, let me get myself together on here. All right. America's team with your lame duck coach, Mike McCarthy, with your practically lame duck quarterback, Dak Prescott. Now you've gone out and there's a soundbite out there in Miami from none other than Jimmy Johnson telling these folks that he has been consulted by Dallas and that he is back in the fold. Now, the quote specifically says, I am back in the fold. He told WQAM 560 AM in Miami that he is now on the Dallas advisory board, y'all. I am back in the fold with the Cowboys, says Jimmy Johnson after conversations with Jerry Jones following the Packers loss. So as soon as they got there, you know what kicked. He done called up somebody that can go from 1-15 to a Super Bowl. So times are desperate in Dallas. Y'all done call poor Jerry, who's at home drinking his coffee, eating his crumpets, just enjoying his life, spending his coins. You done call somebody from the 1970s. Now, not really the 70s, but y'all know what I'm saying. You done call somebody from 30 years ago To help you save your job, Mike McCarthy, Jerry is desperate. Jerry said, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and get somebody I know that can help us out. I'm going to get Johnson on the phone. Doreen, go over there and get me Jimmy Johnson's phone number out my Rolodex. And he called him, and there he is. What are your thoughts? Jtrain, I'll start with you. Is Dallas that desperate?
Yes. Yes, I think they are. It all starts back to when the playoff game happened at halftime, when Jimmy Johnson gave a very, very passionate speech about how they're not playing up to the standard. And man, I mean, he had me moved. I was ready to go through a wall when I heard him talking. It's like, oh man, this is Jimmy Johnson.
Right.
Wow, because you really don't hear him like that talk.
Nope.
And it was almost like he had tears in his eyes.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He was.
Yes, he welled up. I was like, wow, man, that's what's missing in there. There's no passion in there. And because I mean, they have the talent. Dallas is very talented. I mean, don't get me wrong. Maybe their linebacking core was a little bit light in the britches, but other than that, they had the secondary, the defensive line, the offensive line. I mean, running game may be a little shaky, but I think the quarterback is good enough, and you had the wide receiver core. But to me, they got manhandled by a team that looked less talented than they were.
Yep, no one saw that
That's
coming.
embarrassing. That was embarrassing. And I think that Jimmy Johnson, this is my opinion about the situation. I think he should be in a consulting area, but I don't think he should. I don't think he's in a situation where, okay, they got Mike McCarthy on a short leash. If you don't do well, we're going to put Jimmy in your place. That's not the kind of situation, because Jimmy's 80. I don't care how great he was, man. This is a young man's game, football and in the coaching level. He's too old to get back out there coaching. He's not going to relate. There's too many generations in between. And he's also just old, man. I don't care how passionate he is, but he should be on the side. Just what he did at halftime, like I said earlier, he should at least be in the advisory level. And I think it's great for them. And I think that will get them in the step in the right direction.
I mean, and he did get them riled up. He was crying. And to get beat in Dallas, which is something they never, experienced. They were always supposedly unbeatable at home. It was on the road that they were struggling. But you're right. They are a great team. They're 12-5 for the last 3 seasons. Mike, what are your thoughts?
All right. First off, we're gonna take a little history lesson. Back in the day, in the 90s, Cowboys winning Super Bowls, right? Jimmy Johnson doing his damn thing. What happened there? Jimmy Johnson went straight to Jerry and told him to F off at one point. And Jerry said, oh, yeah, fired him and brought in Barry Switzer, and Barry Switzer took on. So for Jerry to even make that phone call, the desperation has happened. Yes. It has set in. Jerry's like, I am going to die in the next 2 years.
That was
something.
My point.
This dude's on the edge. He says, I'm going to bring Jimmy in and say, Jimmy, I need you to help me bring players in. I need you to help me with Mike McCarthy or what we're going to do next year. Because right now at quarterback, we have the light-skinned Tony Romo. He can win and throw the ball all he wants in a regular season. Come the playoffs, we only got 2. Then we have Tony Pollard, who literally had one 100-yard rushing game.
Yes.
His total for the year was 1,007. Not going to cut it. We need to bring in a true RB1. Now we need to get a wide receiver 2 to help out CeeDee Lamb, so CeeDee Lamb don't chew out Dak on the sideline all year long next year. He started to. So yes, Jimmy needs to be that advisor. Jimmy needs to really be that guy that says, hey, this is what's going to happen here, and getting somebody's ass, because if he doesn't, and Mike McCarthy continues to do what he does, and we're 13-3. Cool. Be whatever you want with that shit. Be 13-3, whatever the hell it is. You're not going to win playoff games because your team is not mentally ready to do that, and they're not going to do that because you have soft, I don't know where I'm at, Mike McCarthy. And Dak, all this rumor about, you can get paid $60 million. There is not a team that's going to pay him unless they have absolutely nothing. And I'm going to look at you, Sonia, for that, because if Bryce Young doesn't do anything, they may be the team that says, we're going to throw all the money at Dak, bring him here. We just want wins next year.
And that is no secret. That is no secret. Red Jet says Dallas is going to face San Francisco, and San Francisco in the coming season. We know San Francisco is their kryptonite. Every year there's the kryptonite. And Kevin said Jerry did put the prize aside, and you're right.
He tucked his tail.
Everybody knows if Bryce does not cut it in 2 seasons, I mean, as much as but that's the Panthers' fault because of how they brought him in with no O-line and no acclimation to the NFL. Now, yes, CJ Stroud came in and hit the ground running, but the Texans are a different team. They were looking for a quarterback, much like Atlanta, and once they got that, they are. Now we don't know. The Texans could be a whole different team next year because let's be honest, this entire season, we saw a display of quarterback carousels throughout the entire league. We saw rookies get their start off the rip because of a lot of injured quarterbacks or lack of performance. And this year was one of those years that in my memory, is probably the most unpredictable season that I can remember in a long time. We came in thinking Miami, Bills, freaking, I mean, we just had teams, the Eagles, that they were going to go. The AFC North was a division. Everybody finished above what, 700, 800? I don't know.
It was above 500. First winning division that happened since in like 90 years type thing.
Yes. It was a parody this season.
Listen, and to me, this was the best football season I've seen or been around in years. The fact that at week 15, you still had 30 teams, might have been a small percentage, still had 30 teams fighting for the playoffs. That's the type of football I want. I don't want to go into the season and 3 weeks in and be like, all right, these are the guys going to the playoffs, we're done. Like, then I don't want to watch the football. It makes it less entertaining to me. I want everybody to be fighting for them spots. And if we have another season like that, or football continues to be like it was this past season, hey, forget the injuries. We don't want the injuries, but to the court, because the quarterback position got demolished. But as long as we don't have that, and and football stays like that, oh man, we're in for it. It's going to be amazing again.
Now there's a comment up here that I'm not going to put up. Red Shell, you know what you said. Or let's see, Red Shell. I'm sorry, not Red Jet Shell. David Christoph, what you said. My apologies, Red Jet Shell. It wasn't you. I'm not going to put that comment up here. But David, I need you to comment as to why you would say that when that specific quarterback is in a position that is in an unwinnable position, an unwinnable team at this moment. So I need you to comment, and then we'll address your comment. Now,
here's what you do. I'll call him out. If he doesn't say it now, you come on my show Saturday, because that's my co-host, and you ask him then, and I'll make him.
Oh, okay. So I won't be able to do it this Saturday because I'm being occupied. But I want you to address that, and I'm going to watch the recap. So, David, that question, I'd like you to talk about it in depth so I can play the replay on Sunday evening when I'm done with my festivities for the weekend. And please pay attention to my comments. And so he's also saying nothing better than the final week of the season and teams are playing for a playoff spot. Right. Very competitive. And Jet Shell says fighting for spots equals putting egos and feelings aside and getting the job done. I love that. I love that. All right. So
I don't agree with what he says.
Yeah, David, you may be right on that. So I'll go ahead and put up his first comment. This was David's first comment. I'll let that marinate, especially for the Panthers fans who are tuning in. My apologies. David is the co-host on the Man Cave. Is this the one that I was asking you about, Mike?
No, that's Jay. He's my co-host with the cheap seats.
Okay, so, and then this is his explanation. So basically, your comments come down to physicality and not necessarily performance. He could not necessarily, because you can't help how big or how small you are. You just cannot, even the Bible said you cannot add one stature to yourself at all. Like, I mean, you can put some lifts in your shoes or whatever, but you cannot do that.
Get kneecap replacements.
I honestly think had Bryce gone to another team, I think he'd be better than what he is. I'm gonna say that. I'm not gonna say he would be playoff material like CJ Stroud was, but I will say he would probably be close to 500, if not right above 500. I don't see him going, 800 and all this, 12 and something, but at least probably 7, 8, 9, or 8 and 8 or something, whatever the season ends up panning out to be in balance. I just don't see with that. Yes, Jtrain.
CJ Stroud had weapons too. I mean, and he had a defense to give him the ball back. So there's a big difference. I mean, don't get me wrong. He is a bigger quarterback, and I think I projected him to be NFL pro ready more than Bryce Young. But Bryce was put into just a not a great situation at all.
Look, I agree. Bryce was put in a trash situation. Trash situation.
Not a consistent coach, not a consistent player, no weapons, all around rebuild.
And I get that. Put in a trash situation. But you just said CJ Stroud had weapons, right? The only reason why he had Tank was because he told his coach to draft him in the 3rd round. Nobody knew who that dude was. Nico Collins, no one knew who that dude was either. He made those guys what that is. He made those two good. I mean, Schultz was a weapon because he came from Cowboys. That was a monster tight end. Then you had Montgomery and Pierce. Well, Pierce fell off somehow. I don't know how you flopped that bad. And not Montgomery, but other boy. But I don't know how Pierce fell off that bad. Like he just that was horrible. But I agree with you. That Young got put in a position where he should have been like Jordan Love. Sat there for a year or two. They should have let the red rifle go out there and play and just do what they can. And that'd be that.
Right.
Yeah, so and he even says Doug Flutie, someone says Carol McCain. Hi, Carol says Doug Flutie was short. That's right. Doug Flutie was short and thin, but got it done. And so
is that a shot at Bryce being short and thin, not getting it done, or is that Drew Brees was short too.
I wasn't too sold when we first got let me see, who was it? Baker Mayfield, because they said he was only 5'10". Yeah, and he used to have to drop back to make his passes. Mm-hmm. But the point is not just the height, it's the overall. You just don't know as far as how everything measures up. David also says, for me, it just comes down to skill. I don't think he has the skills to be a starting player caliber quarterback. I always tell people, when you come from college to the NFL, it's a different animal. You can play with mediocre or just good players in college, but when you come to the NFL, it's the best of the best. And you have to be above level on everything to be competitive.
I just don't want him to be Johnny Manziel. And I feel like they're both short. They both run around a lot. I don't want him to have to do that. Yeah. And then all of a sudden he's gone and out of there. I mean, his mental stuff is fine because he's not going to go do all the dumb shit Johnny did, but I just don't want him to end up being that type of player.
Yep. And that's the thing. And, Johnny Manziel actually came out a little while ago, was comparing himself to LeBron, saying basically had he stayed focused, he would have been just as great as LeBron. And so
that key word there, if. Sorry, buddy. You can't say that now.
It's a powerful word. It's a powerful word to be 2 letters. It's a very, very weighty word. Doug had the skills that Bryce doesn't have. Thanks, David. We appreciate that. And then he said Drew, of course, had guns, though.
Oh, yeah. I'm guessing Drew was a monster.
And then someone did agree. David did agree with what I said. 2 different animals, the NFL. Mm-hmm. But yeah, guys, I mean, so wrapping it up right now, we've got about a minute left, not even a full minute. Just closing thoughts before we wrap up for this week. We got a lot of we got the draft coming up. We got teams still, believe it or not, making moves. What are your thoughts on what will your team, not necessarily what was already stated, what do you think your team will actually focus on first? We got about 30 seconds.
My team's going to have to focus on money, making sure their money's able to work because they do need to pick up some free agent and then make their small draft capital work for them.
Same.
Cap, I heard a 13% increase this year.
Yeah, with the 30 million, 255 billion or whatever the hell it is, or million or whatever.
Yes, a lot. All right. Well, Jtrain, Mike, it's been really having both of you all on tonight. Please know that you can Come back and join me at any time. I really loved having you all on the show. Thank you to everyone for the comments and the love and the hate. And we wish everyone a great weekend. Stay safe, stay warm. It's about to drop this weekend, and stay dry for your part of the country where it's raining. All right, y'all have a good night.
This is Northeast Streaming Sports.